My intention is to have a problem-solving session on a variety of projects here that people have brought along of things that are causing them issues. Now that's obviously got a bit of an issue with some drying and the how-tos for reholding, stopping, cracking, a few design opportunities and a variety of holding methods for obviously things that are not easy to handle. So all the time we come up against issues of a variety of shapes, woods and problems, whether they be splits, knots, bug hole or design options. Your question was?
Rewa, so it's dried, and when I've got such an ellipse, how do I turn it back to?
Okay, so if you have a look here, could you get me a pointer? That screwdriver will do. Thank you. So down in here we've got a 50mm chuck bite, so it needs to go back onto the lathe. You can see with the shrinkage there, it's now oval, right? So put it upside down on the bench, take your dividers, find the centre and mark a clean circle around there, and just take a push chisel and take the top part of that off and the top part of that off so you can remount with your 50 jaws, okay? So then get that done first, put it up onto the lathe with your 50 jaws, and then quietly trim up the inside and the outside of this entry here, but don't finish it, turn it over, grab it again, and finish the back entirely. Finish this cut in here, this cut here, down in here, finish, sand and wax it. But don't wax the chuck bite, then turn it over, grab it again, turn the middle out, and turn the top edge there, down the corner, turn that, sand, finish, wax, done, and out. You follow that? So utilise these edges here for double chuck holding while you got the chance.
Thank you. My next one is they've all distorted a lot.
Yeah.
So there's
one at a time.
one, yeah. So
See,
the
look
main
how that's cupped, eh? Isn't that amazing how that's pulled? That is wonderful. So what are you going to do with it? You're going to pull it some more, right? You're going to pull it some more. You're going to go make it better pulled than that. So you're going to drop that corner there. You're going to drop that corner, leave those bits high, leave the hole, open it out through there, get a drill in there and open that hole out there so you can see through it. Don't fill it with resin because it'll always look full. So open it out so you can see that, but drop that just a little bit more there and there. And the criteria there, my tape please? My criteria there would be to make the drop on both sides the same from there to the table. Drop that side there to about 75 off the table, and this one you'll see is sitting at 90, so drop that down to 75, but leave these 2 points here high, so it's got some real crank in it. So the worst thing you could do with that is to put it back on the lathe and level it all up, because you lost that. Nature's telling you to say, hey, look at me, I'm already starting to look beautiful.
Looks nice.
Yeah. So run with that. You can see some drying numbers going on here. You've already got a big chuck bite. So run with that idea is my advice. And it'll be stable enough because it's already done its movement.
Thank you.
the other one that I really want advice on is you've got pith through there and there, and I've heard lots of people say that pith is not a good idea. Should I have dropped that and eliminated the pith?
Well, actually at the moment, you've just outside, the pith is probably further over just a little bit, so it's actually not so bad because I can't see any cracking there now. What's the date on this? 30th of 16/19, so it's already had sufficient time. I think if that was going to be a concern, you'd see cracking there.
Yeah.
Once again, I'd run with that. I wouldn't lower that down. I'd leave those bits there, drop the sides, take it a bit thinner, and just watch your foreman underneath, rock it round and underneath there. That will be a beautiful piece, but use the same principles as the other one.
How would you drop the sides?
This here, with an Arbortech head in the grinder, and just lower it off, yeah. Yeah. So you can hold that in your chuck. It's already into the 130mm jaws, and hold that in the chuck, and then mark it accurately. Lower that and lower that, but leave those both the same height. So it looks like a bit like a boat. This is this one.
My one there.
What's the story with that, Bob?
Bowl saver. I got, I'd say, isn't got that far of chopping it off.
Yes.
It wouldn't go any further without trying to shake the whole workshop to pieces.
Okay.
It just wouldn't cut any further. I don't know what's in there, but it just, any way of...
Are you about 3/4 the way round there, Bob? Yeah, it feels, there's no spring in it yet, is there?
To get the rest of it. It's just,
Move the blade further along the slot.
right.
Right, you know where you mount the blade initially, it's flush at the back.
Yeah, move it, yeah.
Move it in, say, 1/2 inch, see how that works.
And what speed were you running the bowl saver? 500? I would lower the speed, take 100 off it, and as Granville suggested, pull the blade out. Make sure you're cutting on centre. When was the last time your bowl saver blade was ground? Not honed, when was it ground?
No, it wasn't ground, it's been honed. Yeah.
Okay, bring me the blade, bring it round to my place and I'll grind it for you, then put it back into position and it will cut a lot better. It needs that crisp edge to do that last tail end. It's a nice piece of wood, so, you know, it's obviously battling at that length, so it needs to be ground. So those are the things there, and you'll save that, because then you've got to do some further cutting on these other positions, right? So the blade needs to be ground, take 100 revs off, and then that will be solving it, Bob, I'm sure.
Pop out, yeah.
Yeah.
Just move it round a bit.
Yeah. Pull the blade out of the hanger a bit.
Yeah.
This one? Whose is this?
Yeah, that's mine,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful bit of wood, except for the crack up it.
Is it peach tree?
It's apricot.
Apricot,
And
okay.
I probably should have turned it in one go,
Yes.
but I didn't. And I may be able to do something like that other one there with the glass liner.
Yes.
I may be able to do something like that with it.
Yes.
But is it feasible?
Yes, it is feasible. I certainly wouldn't give up on it.
No,
I certainly wouldn't give up on it. I would, really probably look at putting it up onto the bandsaw and run right up the split there and cut it in half.
Yeah.
And then put the two halves up on your sanding table and sand them flat. Get a piece of darker timber as a stripe, put it back between and put glue in it and wrap a whole lot of rubber bands around it. So what you're actually doing is you're cutting that split completely out. Measure the width first, and it looked to be about 15 wide. And then put the tight bond glue in there, wrap it up with rubber bands, pull it back together, and put it back on the lathe and carry on. So what you've done is you've cut the split out and you put solid wood back in. And that would be really quite neat. Go right through it. Yeah. Okay. Anyone else got any ideas on that? Because it's a nice piece of multicoloured fruit wood, but with a stripe through the centre, it's going to help it, isn't it?
Would you need to make a support in the bandsaw?
I don't think so. No, I think you could get that. I think you could get that okay. Yeah. Well, you're not chopping round that way. You're not chopping it round that way. You're going up longitudinally. No, I think it'd be quite okay. You could put a cheek of wood inside, a square block in there and a square block in there, and just hold it together. It would go through okay. Nice sharp blade and go quietly at it. And I think that would be quite a feature. Okay.
Probably shape it to the inside profile of the vase too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would look quite attractive, but a dark piece of wood going back into there, and the piece of wood that you put back into there would look actually quite nice if it wasn't parallel. If it was, say, 15 mils wide there and about 8 there. You know, put it like a wedge in there, going right through it. This little wee one is in the same category as the others, the way it shrunk with the sides dropped. Get some reverse curve going on there. That's going to be stunning in the speckly grain on the top. Already, that's actually really good. You had this in your dryer, Simon? That proves about the drying system with dehumidifier drying with the wax finish, with the mobile ceramic wax emulsion on there, or the log shield. There's no splits in that. It's pulled. It's now dry, ready for finishing. But if this wasn't coated with the mobile, you know, product or the log shield, if it wasn't coated with that, you'd see some serious splits in that.
Can you give us the time frame on the sort of the bulb?
The time frame, this is middle of the year 19, so it's had like a year. Let's say, well, 10 months or a year. And it's well worth that bulb waiting for that, isn't it? To get it right. Just work them in rotation, be patient with it. If you haven't got a drying system, you know, to put it in, wax it, write your name on it, put the date on it and give it to me and I'll put it in my dryer for you. And you'll get a result like that, because the wood is too good to waste. It cuts beautifully when it's wet or it's green with the bowl saver. You can cut it really well and then you can carry on with it and you don't lose it. If you don't, you're going to get a lot of cracking. And there's a limit. If that's got a really big open crack in it, there is a little bit of a limit. But that's going to look nice with no cracks, finished off with a heavy reverse curving underneath there with the dropped sides. It will really look quite good. We've got this one here. Whose is this piece?
That's me again. I know what I'm going to do with it, but somebody else might have some ideas too. That's been sitting in a tub of water for about 5 years.
Yeah, good.
Until I got around to it.
So it's just a corner off a big lump of putukawa that you've had?
Yeah, from that stuff we got from up at Bland Bay.
Yeah.
And I've made lidded boxes out of it. The last two of those corners.
Yeah.
I've got 2 left. But somebody might have a better idea.
I would say a lidded box, a small little wee lidded box going the end grain, because you've got the density of the putukawa and it'll have some good water stain mark in there of it being immersed for, what did you say, 5 years?
About.
Oh, it'd be great.
However long ago it is since we went up to Bland Bay.
Yeah. A small lidded box end grain I think would suit, because you've got enough height there to do something with it. Make that the bottom, tuck it into here. Get the bark off it and go down and through there. Probably that's one option. If anyone else has got some ideas. Yeah. So there's options there. Yeah, you could go side grain too. So you could, but it's got that density. It'll take a hiding and you'll get away with it. Yeah. And this piece here.
That's me again.
That's you again. For those of you that have seen the talk on the box jig that I've talked to you about, you'd make up a. Depending on which way you wanted to hold this, you'd make a custom board box around it so that you can mount that up onto your lathe so it's within a box. You can choose to whichever way you handle it so that you can get a fastening on it and you can get a design idea first, and you can pop your screws inside this custom board box, which are really not going to show. You can tuck a screw right up and beside into there in the lower hole of that, and you wouldn't even see it when the finished piece is done.
Excuse me, Shane, I tell you what I did see when you were holding it up there with a bulldog.
A bulldog. Yeah, he's not going to bite me, is he? He's not going to bite me. Oh, he is.
Yeah, flip it sideways.
Yeah.
Round a bit.
So, yeah, that's right. So some of these really ugly pieces of wood, you've got to watch that they're not past their best. This piece of wood is still solid. Look at that. That's stunning grain in there. And if you were to wet that, you'd really see the full colour of that gum stripe and everything coming out there.
It's a once in a lifetime log.
Yeah. And this is a really, really good piece. You can feel the weight in it, but I'd handle it with a box jig so it can't go anywhere, and just have a bit of an idea of where you're going with it. This will be the bottom. Leave the outside all natural and then go down into the end grain at the top there, and that would look pretty stunning. So any other pieces that you have problems with, if you want any advice, bring them along and I'll give you some things to think about. Thank you. I'm done.